Hey guys, and welcome back to the Behind the Plate podcast brought to you by One IQ Sports. I'm Will, that's DJ, and we got another week of stuff to talk about because the last time we talked, the vibes were low. We wanted to die because I think we talked after Roki Sasaki signed,
No,
or did we talk
no.
right before? Well, then
We
let's
talked right before, so we were
let's get this.
optimistic.
The vibes were high, and then they were shot the next day. If I had a nickel for every Friday that the Blue Jays were rumored to land the top Japanese player on the market and it end in an Instagram post of an LA Dodger logo, I'd have two nickels and a noose tied.
Oh my gosh, man.
I couldn't believe it. I text you some very choice words.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
fuck Sasaki, he's a coward, didn't want him anyways. um,
bro.
but the vibes weren't low for too long. He signed Friday, and then Monday morning, Anthony Santander said, I don't need to play for the Dodgers. I can play for a real team. And he joined the Blue Jays. And he signed a 5-year, $92.5 million contract, the fifth largest in Blue Jay history for free agent contracts, which is insane because that's not a lot of money. If it gets to the 6th year and they get 110, he ties Gosman for 4th, which just means Gosman steal is such a steal.
Yeah.
And then 61 million or 62 million or something like that's deferred. So the Jays are only paying a third of his contract right now. Like he's earning less a year than Tyler O'Neill is, who the Orioles signed.
That's crazy.
Just throwing that one out there.
Deferring money is crazy, man. It
It
does
is
so many things.
It is going to be a huge topic in the CBA. I know, like, it's been a huge topic around us. We've been shitting on it. And was I
Yeah.
happy to see the Blue Jays do it? Yes, because it showed evolution in our front office. It showed that we learned and we could convince a player to defer money, but it is going to be a huge topic no matter what come the CBA in 2027, man. It's going to be a huge deal.
This Dodgers team, whether you like it or not, is going to be eye-opening. And they're going to talk about the Dodgers franchise for a long time, and this team specifically, and quite frankly, how they're kind of like, I don't want to say ruining the game, but
Oh,
it's
see, I'm
like
going to go
it's
on the exact opposite train of you here.
okay. Well, I personally think it's stupid. I think what the Dodgers are doing, just like it doesn't make it like I don't know. They're expected to win. Obviously, heavy favorites. But when every superstar is going there and like every, you know, Sasaki goes to the Dodgers, it's like it gets a little boring. And I hope that they put a stop to it at least a little bit. So it's more spread out around the league, you know. Um, because if everyone starts to sign with one team, like I said, it gets boring and repetitive and less competitive. I don't know. That's just what I think.
Yes. If you give me like a second here.
Yeah, no. I think it's ridiculous that
Yeah.
the Dodgers could still get all the players they have and still be in talks with the top free agents or the top international stars. It's ridiculous. I mean, less for Sasaki, because like it's a total different thing. You know, international is totally different, and I understand it, but I don't know.
I go on the opposite there. What the Dodgers organization is doing is good for baseball. What's bad
Right.
for baseball is the billionaire owners who are crying poor and can't spend money. Like, you're telling me that the owner of the Reds can't spend money, or like, the Mariners. The winning the 54% of games is a bullshit mark. That should not be your mark to like for every year. It should be to win a World Series. To the Pittsburgh Pirates owner was asked about signing big contracts, and he said at the end of the day his goal is just to make more money than he spends. Guess what? The more you spend, the more people are going to come to your games. That brings in more money and more merch sales and more money. So I don't think what the Dodgers are doing per se is bad. the players who keep signing there, like if you're taking less money to go to the Dodgers over another team, it's kind of, especially if you're a superstar, it's kind of weak in a sense.
Yeah.
Like the Roki Sasaki decision struck me as weak because all week he was like, I don't want a big market. I want to go somewhere where they're going to keep my arm healthy. And he goes to the Dodgers, arguably the biggest Japanese market, one of the biggest markets in baseball, that's known for tearing young guys' arms apart. So,
Yeah.
there's 5 teams, 5 teams this year that haven't signed a major league contract yet in free agency. There are 11 teams that haven't signed a contract worth more than $10 million this offseason. That's what's bad for baseball. The owners who are worth billions and can spend maybe not like the Dodgers, but could spend even fucking Toronto does. Like $200 million payroll, a $150 million payroll. If you can afford that and you're not going to go out to do that to put a winning product on the field because you don't want to spend the money, sell the fucking team. Get the fuck out of baseball. Give it to someone who wants to spend money. Steve Cohen joining baseball was one of the best things. That's a Mets fan who bought the Mets and is spending money and just signed the largest contract ever with a fuck you money. Like, I don't know. I think the Dodgers organization and the owners, good on them for identifying that, hey, we can spend money and going out and actually doing it and being able to build a reputation as hey, come sign with us. It's more on the teams that aren't doing it. Like the Athletics that are finally doing it now that they're out of Oakland is thank you, but where was this 15 years ago?
I agree. I guess I said it wrong. I do think they're leading the way, and we've never seen it quite like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Dodgers, they're making their own path and they're staying within the rules or the lack thereof. There's no rules right now and they're taking advantage. I don't blame them. But when players, that's what gets me the most. When players are taking less to just hop on a bandwagon when no one else is doing anything else.
Yeah.
That's where it's the integrity of just them, the sport is questioned because it's Scherzer can easily sign a contract tomorrow
With the Dodgers.
with the Dodgers and just call it a day.
Yeah. I guess I know there's been a lot of talks over do we need salary cap or whatever. I think if you're going to implement a salary cap, the first thing you have to do is implement a salary floor. Give a floor of $125 million for an everyday roster. There is no reason any owner in the league can't field a roster that costs $125 million. When these sports teams are worth $600 to $3 billion, you can afford the contracts. So I would like to see a salary floor before I see a salary cap in that sense. Because then it gets teams more aggressive. Players start going elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the MLB too is in this era and the system we're in, there's no need for a rebuild. I mean, there is kind of, but it takes away from the rebuilding process. If you really want to contend, you could go make a team.
Look at the Rangers.
Exactly.
The Rangers, they signed Simeon, they signed Seager. They had a couple guys in there like Jace Young, Leody Taveras, Adolis Garcia, although they traded for Garcia, I'm pretty sure. And then, Langford this year that they drafted. And then they signed DeGrom. They traded for Scherzer. Well, they had another guy in there that they had Heaney. John Gray was in there, which was really weird.
Yeah,
they just kind of always had they were just buying. They spent, I think it was $500 million on their middle infield. And then they spent $500 million on their rotation, and then they went and they got more closing pitching. They essentially bought their World Series.
Yeah.
but they proved that if you have like two good prospects coming up, you can just and you go buy 4 or 5 guys, like you can win a World Series.
I mean, yeah, it's on you at that point as a manager and as a franchise to make that decision. Like, I don't know. Like the Reds, I don't know what they're doing. They could easily just fucking get their shit
The
together as you
Reds,
said.
the Reds could attract 5 starting pitchers or 4 starting pitchers in the snap of their finger. Hey, do you want to pitch with Hunter Green on a team with Ellie De La Cruz, Will Benson, Christian Encarnacion Strand in a division that fucking reeks?
Exactly.
Like if the Reds win 85 games, they if they fielded a competitive team, they probably could win the division. Like
Easily, yeah. I
they
don't think
if
it's
the
too far-fetched.
if you gave them 2 more starters, then they did that. They acquired Brady Singer. Like they went out and did some stuff. If they got one more starter, which they might have, I don't have their moves off the top of my head. I like pencil them in. They're gonna do something. Just like the Cubs like the Cubs sold Bellinger to get
Yeah.
Tucker. The brilliant move. Tucker's getting 10 million less. And then they got Ryan Presley today and gave up nothing. And they took cash. Like, just buy, man. Just spend fucking money.
There's
Like,
no reason not
oh,
to. I think that's the biggest thing right now. There's no
dude,
reason not to.
the
Unless
Pirates.
you're a lazy owner.
The Pirates don't even have to spend much, and they could field a good team. Hey, do you want to play with O'Neal Cruz, Cabrian Hayes? We have Connor Joe there. Tamar Johnson's coming up. Not to mention, like, Henry Davis is there. Oh, and Paul Skeens is our ace. Then there's
Yeah.
Jared Jones. They have another starter that I'm blanking on. Oh, that Mitch Keller. Then they have another young guy. Like, all they need, if you get them one more starter, another bat or two, and then a bullpen, a little bit better of a bullpen. Like, if they spent $50 million this offseason on player contracts for the 2025 season, they'd be an 85 win team.
Yeah. You could pay for a playoff team. I'm
And 50 million
sorry.
isn't even that much in like the
No,
grand
it's
scheme of
not. No.
baseball.
It's really not. Not right now. Not when players are making $1 billion just for
Juan
one.
Soto's making 50 million in a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
So we're gonna see a lot change. You're right. When the meetings happen and they talk, it's gonna change. Just because uh, the Dodgers stick out like a sore thumb.
yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing.
But
They stick out.
the Dodgers payroll I think is like 100 million or more above everyone else. I
Yeah.
do think at some point they're going to implement a harder cap. Like a way
Mhm.
more punishable cap than what they have. Because right now, the punishment's, hey, you're spending the X amount of money. Well, we're just going to make it this much more. If the team's spending $400 million, $600 million isn't really anything to them.
No.
So, like,
No.
if they do that, there's got to be a more punishable thing. Like loss of high end draft picks, like shit like that. But, like, I don't know.
What the
It's,
draft picks even mean
yeah, it's
anymore
so
if you're
far
just
away.
paying. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
what
like
I
then it
think.
just punishes young players if like 4 teams go over the salary cap and then maybe they lose 2 draft picks each. Well, there's 8 guys who aren't going to get drafted now that maybe should have. But whatever, like that's such a minute thing that like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's all about the present.
The
So I don't know.
the thing that like strikes me the most while we stay on the MLB topic and not the Blue Jays yet is the Mets. They go out, they sign Juan
Right.
Soto to the biggest free agent contract ever. Then they
Yeah.
sign a reliever to be a starter.
Hmm.
They bring back Jesse Winker, great move. But now they're crying poor to Pete Alonso, like your homegrown star.
Yeah, it is really weird.
Weird. I I like the Sean Manaea contract. I don't think the rotation's better than it was last year. Uh, like I don't get
They
it.
haven't done much. They haven't done much. But
I was expecting big things. I thought they'd go out and get another guy, whether it was in the
well,
rotation, even the
yeah,
lineup, like kind of shit.
right.
Like
No,
outside of
little to no
Lindor and
depth.
Soto, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that is weird. You'd think like dragging in the number one free agent would like make them be like, oh yeah, but it's kind of like made them go radio silent and act like
Yeah,
they're broke. It's like they put all their chips in one basket, which is really weird. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like the opposite of what I thought the Blue Jays were doing. And they got Soto and they're like, we're done now.
yeah,
We're done.
it's
No,
weird.
they're just not. It's a
But
very video game like move.
that's what happens when you sign someone to a huge contract and then you have
Mhm.
to pay it in full.
Right.
Is that like how much money do you want to spend on these guys? Because like $40 million to your number three hitter, or $50 million to your number three hitter, that's
Mhm.
taking money out of something else. Like, I don't know. I think contracts in baseball are ridiculous, but we don't need to go down this rabbit
Well,
hole.
I will say, like, him signing with them too is like, you're going to see a lot of greed with the team now, right? Because, like, you're like, hey, you're paying him fucking that much. I mean,
Yeah.
that's probably a problem with Pete too. He's like, hey, guys, I've been here for years. I was really good in the playoffs for you guys. Like, you just paid this guy how much? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just pay me a little more. And they're like,
Yeah, you're good.
beat it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. But let's switch focus to the Blue Jays because that's what we're all here about, anyways.
Yes, yes, yes,
The Blue
yes.
Jays splashed some cash. They've actually had a really decent offseason, all things considered. Everything that's gone against them, getting Santander
Yeah.
felt like a huge win. Getting him to defer 2/3 of his contract was an even bigger win. Getting Hoffman was a pretty big win. Even Jimenez, like I've talked myself into Jimenez all the way. I'm all in on the Jimenez hype train.
We
That's
have to be.
feeling like a big win. They're just missing a couple more pieces. I know everyone wants Alonso, and I want him too, but I don't know if he's necessary. Like adding 80 home runs to your lineup in an offseason sick. And it probably puts
Right.
them in conversations with the team like the Yankees for top in the AL East. But
Hmm.
like I don't know how necessary Alonso is, especially because it seems like he's
Me
gonna get
too.
a Bellinger-esque deal where he's just gonna opt out at the end of the year anyways, and he's gonna be gone. So like if Vladdy feels comfortable playing third base for a year, go for it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
personally go Alonso long term. I do like I'm high on guys like Orelvis Martinez and Will Wagner, where if you tell me opening day those two are platooning third base with Ernie or whatever, I'm all in. Like I am
Right.
buying all the
Right.
way in on that. I think that trio could be just as good as Pete Alonso in production overall if they give these guys regular ABs and all that stuff.
Right. I agree. It's tough because you can't have that many DHs in the MLB
Mm-hmm.
and first basemen, so that's like big. Whether like Vladdy wants to move around or not, it's honestly I think a lot depends on Vladdy too.
Yeah.
Um, Pete Alonso will not stay. I don't see him staying long term at all.
I,
In no circumstance. I think he's kind of like a Simeon, or like he'd be good doing something like that, have a good year, and then or good 2 years or whatever, and get the fuck out. I just
yeah.
don't see it.
Yeah. I just don't know where he goes. Like,
It's a weird move for us. I mean, I get the home runs, but we're
mm-hmm.
like
It
the
feels
infield's just like I
desperate.
don't
You
know.
could sell more people on Bregman than you
Mhm.
could Alonso, I think.
Right.
Um, just in the aspect of like what's brought both sides. Like the Jays go from defense first, like keep it going with Jimenez. Everyone's clamoring for home runs, and let's bring home
Mhm.
runs in. Let's mash. It's way more fun to watch a team win by hitting 8 home runs than a 1-0 shutout. But
Right.
to go and be like, hey, we really want to put defense first, and then go get a guy like Alonso and shove Vladdy over at third base, who maybe could play league average third base. It feels redundant when a guy like Bregman, who I know I've ragged on a bit, I don't think the contract turns out well. If he signs like a 5-year deal with someone, he can play third base, and like it's a
Yeah.
above league average third base defensively. He's going to be an above league average bat. Like, he's gonna rake in AL East parks if he signs in with an AL East team. I just think if the Jays want more bang for their buck, I think Bregman's the better choice personally over
Right.
Alonso.
You
Alonso
look
just
at it.
reeks of desperation, man.
I agree. And they're like, it's kind of like a back to that pay to win. You look at him and you're like, oh, he'll help our offense. But think of like a defense, like an infield defense of Boba Vladdy at third, which could be
No.
horrendous.
Yeah.
Vladdy at third, Boba at short, and then Alonso at first, who, by the way, is good at picking baseballs but sucks at everything else.
The Jays would have
Defensively.
one of the slickest middle infields between Bo and Jimenez, and then have one of the choppiest corner infields with Alonso and Vladdy. Where if
Not,
you could
yeah.
sell more people on watching this product, I think every day. Well, I mean, you can sell it either way. I'm not like, but like, I think people, if you go and be like, hey, this team's going to be better because not only did we sign a league third baseman, like Alex Bregman, we've also, like, we kept Vladdy at first. We have an all-star second baseman. We got a 40 homer guy in Santander. Bregman could hit 25. You know, the
Right.
Bo bounce backs there. I think if they got Bregman, I'd be a little bit more all in on the team than I think I would be with Alonso.
I
Fuck
agree.
the Chiefs, man. Fuck this.
I know.
Fuck you. Is Allen ever gonna fucking win?
Yeah.
I don't even a Bills fan. I'm just fucking fuck.
Blue Jays fan, and he
God
loses.
damn it, man. Dude, I
Josh
had the
Allen
meme
loses
ready.
again.
When Mahomes lost. It was, I don't know if you'll be able to see this.
I can't. What does that say?
It says Hitler dead.
Oh, nice.
That was going to be the one. If Mahomes lost, that was the meme going forward.
He just never loses, bro. You
God
gotta
damn
give
it,
him
man.
to him.
Well, I don't want the Eagles to win, so I guess we're going to go Chiefs 3-peat.
Oh God, no.
I'd rather see that than the Eagles win. Fuck Philadelphia, man.
No.
Fuck the
Okay,
Eagles.
back to baseball, though.
Yeah. I also, like, I don't want to, if the Jays get Alonso and throw him at DH per se,
Right.
then that means Santander and Springer have to be in the outfield. Which,
That's
by the
another
way,
thing.
I remember fans 2 years ago complaining about the defense of Teoscar and Gurriel. If you thought that was bad, throw Santander out there.
Right.
Dude, like, it's not there. Santander has to be the DH. But if you're throwing Santander out there with Springer, you're taking away at bats from a guy like Gloper Fido, who
Right.
I mean, I've been high on him since we traded for him. I think he's in for a big 2025. I think if you have him there, that means you can also have a guy like Alan Roden come up and, like, fourth outfield that shit. And I think that's hype as well. I would rather Loperfido and Roden as, like, the left fielders, with Santander DHing and Springer in right and Varsho when healthy in center field. If we have to wait and it's Clase in center field or fucking, God forbid, Springer in center field, like, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. We need to. This all changes, like having this many bad players come in for offense on, like, bad defensive players, because you're going to see Vladdy on the field almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Pete Alonso signs. You're going to see Vladdy on the field every day, which we don't know how that's going to change things, because obviously you could DH him a lot, and that's not going to happen. Santander cannot play the outfield that much.
It was like a -7 DRS.
Yeah, but hey, maybe being next to Varsho will help.
Yeah, because Varsho's just going to catch all the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think where it stands right now, and this may be a little controversial, I could buy more into keeping the lineup as it is for the season than I would with the rotation / bullpen. I would rather see another arm added to the rotation to push a guy like Yariel to the bullpen. And then if we go and get another bullpen guy like there, I'd be okay ending the offseason with a starter and another reliever than going and getting another bat in there. Like, I personally don't see the necessity to go get a second bat, or actually a third bat, technically,
Right.
because Jimenez
Right.
was the first bat.
I
All
mean,
things
yeah, but
considered.
he's a glove. But like, I think if you sign one more pitcher, whether it's
It don't even have to be a
I
sign.
don't yeah,
Like,
sign, we could trade, we
like
could
the only
anything.
I wouldn't go for Flaherty. I'm so far out on Pavetta, it's like not even funny. His
Yeah,
best year is like an ERA over 4. You
right.
guys, that's the worst arm in our rotation. Like, we don't
And
need
his
that.
album too.
Scherzer, like, I could get behind it because it's fun.
And it's a
I don't,
50-50 coin flip. Like
yeah.
you can get an ace.
Like, is it necessary to get Scherzer? Like, is he the guy? No. Would it be
It'd be
fun to
fun.
see like
Yeah,
Psycho Scherzer on the mound in a Jays uniform? Absolutely.
I'll get the jersey.
I could get behind a Quintana. Like, Quintana would
Right.
be fun. And then, like, if we're starting to look at trades, like Milwaukee, if they have an arm out, like DL Hall would be cool. Aaron Ashby would be cool. Maybe Braxton Garrett in Miami, Ryan Nelson with Arizona, or Jordan Montgomery. They just signed Corbin Burns, so maybe they want to offload that guy. Like,
Jordan
I
Montgomery's a good one.
I think there's more intriguing options through the trade route that wouldn't put the Jays back a whole bunch.
It just seems like they think they need another bat
Yeah.
because they're going for Alonso. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason you're in the sweepstakes for Alonso so I think they do get another bat,
Well, it
whether
sounds like
it's Alonso or
Boris
somebody else.
pitched Alonso and a Scherzer combo deal to the Blue Jays. And I think that's mainly because Alonso had no one else talking to him besides the Mets. And then he rejected the Mets offer and gave them another offer. And they're like, dude, go away.
So,
Like,
yeah.
please leave us alone. I'm going to call the cops. And Pete was like, fuck, we probably should have taken that 7-year deal that we had on the table worth $100-and-something million. And Boris was like, no, the Blue Jays, because they're talking to Scherzer. I'm going to throw you in that too.
They're talking to everybody. Let's go
Yeah.
get the second place.
Like, dude, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing Alonso outside of a Mets uniform. I wouldn't. I need to paraphrase this. I would not complain if Jay signed Alonso. I'd
Right,
be all
yeah.
in. The polar bear in the Great White North?
Yeah, that's a fucking
Holy shit, man.
great shtick.
But,
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to be sitting here upset and blaming Atkins if we
It's not
don't
a
get Alonso.
Soto. Like, I'm not
No.
gonna, like, cry.
But if we don't get another starter or another reliever, I'd be more pissed off about that. I'm not high on Yariel pitching a full 162 with the Blue Jays. I don't know if his stuff or his arm has it to go 28 starts. That's why I like him in a bulk option where maybe he's going 3 innings. Just I don't think he has the
Right.
efficiency to get it done. I like Bowden. I don't know where he sits next year. I don't know what he's going to be like. I hope he just continues to let his shit go. I think I've pitched more Scherzer with Bowden, like those two being like a little like, superhero sidekick,
Yeah.
like Batman and Robin, 1 and 2 next to each other. So I could buy into that. But there just needs to be another starter in there, especially with the uncertainty of Manoah. There's still question marks around Bowden just because of the sample size. Same with
Exactly.
Ariel. There needs to be something else, man.
There's a lot of pressure on those guys. Like, we can't go into, like, this year like we did last year. Like, hey, you're going to have a bounce back year, or not even bounce back. You're going to have a better year, or we're going to rely on you to be that guy. Go get insurance.
Yeah.
Don't play around with arms. You can't. Like, obviously, Bowden was phenomenal last year. And honestly, like, I see it continuing, but there's a chance that he could be back to what he was when he started in the MLB. There's a lot of pressure riding on him.
Yeah.
So take some of that pressure off a young arm. You do not want to ruin something. And Manoa, God only knows what the fuck's gonna happen with that guy.
He was pretty
Like,
good in 2024, I'll say. Like, I was pretty impressed with him.
oh, he was,
But,
but injury again?
yeah.
Like,
If the Jays get another starter, the depth for starting pitching, it's there. You know?
mm,
Like, you feel more comfortable. You know, you're
right.
leading, like, it's Barrios, Gosman, Bassett, Bowden, ex-starter to be determined, Yariel Rodriguez, and then you're looking like Jake Bloss is probably in there, Manoa when he's healthy. You know,
Yeah.
I think Josh Walker might be able to throw a couple innings. I'm not too sure. Like there's some more options. I assume they get another depth starter either way, like a guy who's going to start the year in AAA.
Mm.
But there needs to be another arm in there, especially in the bullpen too, man. Like
I
right
was
now, I think
looking.
Ryan Burr's still penciled in there, and dude,
Yeah.
I'm not in on that.
A little
I'm
more
not.
depth. A little more depth needed. Not on the back end. The back end
No,
is going
the
to be
back end sick.
fine.
I really
Back end's
want
fine.
Carlos Estevez. I know not a lot of people do. The peripherals don't look good. I will admit, like they don't look
Yeah.
promising at all. But like I don't know, there's just something about him that like in my mind it clicks if you take him and you take him out of the 8th inning and put him in the 6th inning. I think there's something there that clicks. And maybe it doesn't. And I look like an idiot, but just give him a 1-year deal.
Hey,
I
Pete
also
Walker
really
could do
wanted
it.
AJ Minter.
Pete Walker could do it.
Yeah.
Don't even worry.
I think I do like the depth signings of Josh Walker and Richard Lovelady, who has been nicknamed Dick Lovelady. So
I did not see that.
I'm all in on Dick Lovelady. I think big year for him.
Dick Love Lady.
Dick
Who the
Lovelady.
fuck said that?
You, you don't know who Richard Lovelady is? He was a Rays starter. Or not a Rays
No, I
starter, a
have no
Rays
idea.
bullpen guy a couple years ago. Oh, and they signed Bethencourt, the catcher that was in Chicago last year. He actually had a really good back half of the season with the Cubs. Pretty
Didn't we
cool.
get like Fry from the Guardians too?
Fry? I don't think so.
I'm pretty
Talking
sure we did.
David Fry?
Yeah.
I didn't think we did.
Hang on, I seen something on X.
No, he's
Pretty
still a
sure we did.
Guardian.
We got somebody from the Guardians, bro.
We got Jimenez and Sandlin.
No, there is somebody. I
Oh, you
swear
mean
to God.
Miles Straw? In the
Oh yeah,
worst
Miles
fucking
Straw.
trade? I forgot about this trade. God
Okay,
damn
that's what it
you.
was. That's what it was. Not
The
Fry. I was
worst
thinking of Miles
fucking
Straw.
trade in the world. I could not, dude. I was on cloud 9 when I saw breaking. The Blue Jays are acquiring $2 million in international money in exchange for Miles Straw, or with Miles Straw, and cash in exchange for God knows fucking what. And I was like, surely Ross Atkins isn't fucking dumb enough to commit to Miles Straw to get international money without having a yes from Roki Sasaki. Spoiler alert, everyone. He was. That is a worst, horrible trade. It makes no sense now. You know what they did with that extra $2 million? They used it to wipe their ass. They did nothing with it. They didn't even get extra prospects. It was
Yep,
horrible. I
it
couldn't
was.
believe it. I
I
text
remember
you.
now. Yeah, it was the grossest thing. It's funny. I remember now because I seen something on Twitter, right? I seen these like guys bitching at each other, like, I can't wait for Sasaki to sign for with the Dodgers so the Padres look stupid getting more international money. And then they were saying it back and forth. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, we just did that shit and wasted everything.
It goes at 10:35 a.m. Jays acquired an extra $2 million in international money. ... Sasaki might be coming. Sasaki's a fucking pussy who can't win on his own. Santander!
Telling you, bro, it's
Man,
all ups and downs.
when I saw that trade, I was convinced. I was like, that's it. Like, there's no way
Yeah.
you don't make that trade without
And
getting a
get
yes from
Miles.
Sasaki.
Yeah.
And they made the trade without a yes. They offload I think it's $130 million in contracts from the Guardians. Two of their worst contracts, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, although the Jimenez contract isn't the worst. Like, it's not the
it's pretty
worst.
bad. No,
It's
it's pretty bad.
bad, but it's not the worst. The Miles Straw contract, he's making $5 million. Do you know where the Jays assigned him to the day after they acquired him? One would think,
No,
oh, well, maybe at $5 million, he's at least on the MLB bench. No. Well, then maybe AAA. No.
is
He's in
it
fucking
double A?
double A.
Oh my god.
He's with kids who are making $8 an hour.
Oy, oy, oy. If they don't sign Vladdy and they do that, ay, ay, ay.
I couldn't believe it. How do
Yeah,
you make that trade without a yes? That's career ending.
yeah. He definitely took some Blue Jays merch too.
Dude.
They probably.
Imagine that was Cashman or like Andrew Fried. Cashman might have been killed in New York.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been fired on the spot, and they're like, oh, well, nice try, man. You'll get him next time. It's something.
There's so many
ruining
ups
my
and downs
night.
with this team. Yeah, there's so many ups and downs.
As you can tell, that was like my Vietnam.
I seen it and I was just confused. I glossed over it and I'm like,
Yeah.
isn't he like really just trash?
He's
Yeah.
Bradley Zimmer without a bat. Just
Oh
take that
god.
into account. Because Bradley Zimmer wasn't known for hitting the baseball.
At all. Yeah.
Bradley Zimmer's only highlights hitting a home run off Justin Verlander in 2022.
Is he the one that stole home plate? Or like no, he did a cool flip or something? Or who was
No,
that?
that was Chris Coughlin. That was like 2016, 2017, man.
Ugh, Zimmer did something like I remember.
Yeah, he hit a home run off of Justin Verlander. That's about it.
Huh. I thought there was something on the defensive end, but maybe
He might
I'm
have made a
fucking
nice catch defensively. He was sick defensively.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
I don't know, man. This management, I don't know. It's really like
Not good, man.
you could tell they're desperate. They're desperate, like they know their job's up for grabs, but it's like you wake up feeling something different every single day. And I'm kind of in a weird spot.
I do think the instability around the Blue Jays front office has played a huge factor as well. Like Sasaki, one of his things was he wanted to go to a stable front office. Well, that's not the Blue Jays.
We're not. Yeah, no.
And unfortunately for the Padres, that wasn't them either. If you're Soto and you're going to sign a 15-year contract, you don't want the GM to be new in year 2. If you're Bregman, you probably don't want a GM that's new in your second year of your contract, of your final contract. So, like, I understand it at that point. Probably went the same with Burns. Fuck Burns for taking less money to not play for the Blue Jays. But, like,
honestly,
this instability of the Blue Jays front office mixed in with the question marks on the roster has led for, like, a disaster. But like, they've kind of weathered it.
If they got Vladdy, all of the, like, not all of them, but half of these problems are solved. I'm not even joking you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Vladdy signs, we probably have, like, 3 or 4 more guys signed this offseason.
If Vladdy signs, there's a better shot Corbin Burns is a Blue Jay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which takes us out of the Pete Alonso sweepstakes, because I genuinely only believe we're in the Alonso sweepstakes, so we have a better shot at signing Scherzer. Like, I really don't think the Blue Jays actually have, like... I don't think the Blue Jays went in day one are like, we need to get Pete fucking Alonso to play first
I didn't
base.
have him on my bingo card at all.
It just didn't make sense. So, like, if you have Vladdy locked down long-term, Burns might be more comfortable coming to play in Toronto, which, will still probably get Santander, which, over Teoscar I'm actually okay with.
Pretty close.
You probably don't need to get Jimenez, low-key.
Yeah, no.
Like, if Vladdy's locked down, you probably feel more comfortable having Will Wagner take the reins at second base. And then You could like let Wagner and Arelvis platoon at second, and then you can go and get a Bregman for third. And Bregman probably feels more comfortable coming to Toronto, knowing Vladdy's locked
Horowitz
down long term.
and Horowitz could have got us an arm too, I think.
Horowitz
Like
definitely could have got us an
Horowitz,
arm, like a
like
bullpen
for
arm at
sure.
least, man. That's what
Yeah,
I was convinced. Like I thought Horowitz could have been involved in like a Williams trade at some point,
right.
but
That was off the table real quick.
I mean, I was chill with I'm chill with Sandlin. Like I think the Jays could have swung a Nick Sandlin trade no matter what. But like I think Horwitz could have got us, even if it wasn't Williams. Like I know people aren't high on Presley, but like that's a good arm to have in the back half of the back half of the bullpen. Sorry.
I agree.
You'd still get Hoffman. I'm trying to think who else like major they missed on this. There hasn't been per se.
Who
Like
was it?
Roki Sasaki maybe comes, but like, do the Jays have interest in Sasaki if they have Burns? Probably not as much.
Oh, what's that fucking guy's
Um,
name?
like
There
they
was
don't go
one
for
big
Max
one.
Fried
Who,
if they
who
have
just signed
Burns.
with the Dodgers the other day?
Tanner Scott.
Yeah, Tanner Scott.
Tanner Scott's contract's like not the best though. Like $20 million a year for a reliever is just not it. You know,
But
like
he's a
it's
good arm.
recipe for disaster though. But like they might they feel more comfortable. Like Bregman would have been a more clear cut option. Um,
I thought Bregman was an option to start the
yeah.
offseason. Like,
But if Vladdy was locked down, it'd be an easier option.
oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, when the rest of the league needs a third baseman desperately, I mean,
Yeah.
and no one wants to sign with the Jays because you don't know what you're gonna get from the front office ever. And you're
I'm
just
just trying to think like
because if there's ever a market where like money's no issue and everyone's gonna be willing to give money, it's third base.
yeah. Like I'm
That's
just
the
trying to
issue.
think like I don't think genuinely not too much would have changed for the Blue Jays per se. Like maybe we have Burns. And that's still a huge maybe.
I think Teo might come too.
Well, if we have Teo, we don't have Santander.
That's fine. I
I
mean,
actually
they're
prefer
kind of
Santander.
they're like a 50-50 for me. They're both. I think for me the biggest thing, how old is Teo?
Teo's older. He's 32. Santander's 30.
That's
Yeah.
Santander looks like he's fucking 37.
I know.
That's great.
But like you probably I don't know, maybe you still swing the Jimenez trade to get Sandlin. But I like Will Wagner at second base.
Me too. We got a lot of good young guys that I think could
I
play
don't think
differently.
I don't think we need another outfielder per se. Like
No.
I like Loperfido in left. I don't mind taking an Addison Barger flyer again this year. If Alan Rowe ends up playing ball for the Blue Jays, that's only a good thing. And then Jonathan Class A, if he's starting the year in center field and then goes back down, that's fine too.
Yeah.
I
Third
like
base
Ernie. I
and
don't know
maybe
how
short.
long we go with Ernie at third.
Mm.
It just kind of depends. Like I assume Arelvis at some point takes that personally, I think. Or Wagner. Like
Will
I still think
Wagner.
Ernie is the opening day third baseman, but like I wouldn't be surprised if that changed come the end of the year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Unfortunately.
see. There's gonna be a lot of guys that start the season somewhere and end the season somewhere else.
That's gonna be
That
weird.
could be on the field or just
Especially
on
if
a
the Jays
different
are
team.
winning. Like if the Jays are winning, what's to stop them from going for an Arenado?
And it all depends too, right? What we do on the infield is how is Bo Bichette? What are we
Yeah.
doing with him come
I think Bo
midseason?
Bichette's gonna have one of his best defensive years with Jimenez.
I hope you're right, and I hope his bat comes back. But
It
I
will.
don't know.
If his bat comes back, like I think the Jays are an 85 win team.
Especially if Vladdy starts the way
Like if Vladdy, I
he
have Vladdy penciled in as 2024 Vladdy. You pair in Santander with 30 home runs, even 14 less
like
than last year.
He's a Simeon.
The Jays have a better bullpen than they did last year. You throw in another starter there, I feel real comfortable about that rotation. I like the young guys. Like something in there is going to click with one of those guys. Like I feel like I genuinely believe if you bring Bo back, that 1-4, 1-5 is pretty nasty. Like Springer to Bo to Vladdy to Santander to Kirk, one of the best. Maybe it's a Relvis come like June that's hitting fifth.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I don't know.
yeah, it's so many different things can change
I don't
with
know.
this
We're
team.
getting to the real fun time though, where it's like you can almost start doing player predictions.
Fuck around and find out.
Like that's where I think I'm hitting next is player predictions type thing.
I'm down. The
And
whole
then
lineup.
yes, sir. And then I get like we're still like a couple weeks away from
There's gonna be
standing
a Vladdy
predictions.
video.
There fucking better be a Vladdy video.
I mean, whether we hit him or miss him, there's going to be a
Yeah,
Vladdy
I
video.
guess there's gonna be the deadline passed. It's That's gonna be the worst fucking episode ever.
Oh my god. If it is, I mean, it could be the best.
The vibes are gonna. If we get to the deadline and we are making a podcast on that day, the vibes will be lower than losing Otani.
Oh man. Yeah, that'll make this offseason for me automatically bad.
Yeah, because if he hits that, he's gonna get $500 million on the open market. Unless he has a really shitty year.
Which we might want
to. Could you imagine he doesn't take a $400 million offer from the Blue Jays and then goes and hits like 2023?
Oh my god. Or he don't want to
the worst for the Blue
but
Jays
he gets
case would be
injured.
him hitting like he did in 2021.
Oh my god. Holy.
The best case for the Blue Jays if they want to sign Vladdy is that like he doesn't. Like he hits like 2023 or the beginning of 2024, like in April when he was hitting like 210.
Yeah, or he just does what Bo did.
He
Gets
does
injured.
Yeah.
Gets injured, and then he
he's more
comes
willing
back
to
the next year.
take a dive on the Blue Jays. But it's
nah, let's just say he's gonna
get off this.
He's getting
We signed a
500
44 homer guy in Santander. Let's have fun with that. I've been watching Anthony Santander home runs, especially that one against Houston, that grand slam. Beautiful.
Monster.
I've watched a couple where it's at Rogers Center. Beautiful. He looks amazing in a Blue Jay uniform. I love the press conference. I loved the point where he's like, Vladdy was one of the first people to call me, and he was emotional, and he was happy, and he couldn't wait to hit with me. That's my goddamn captain.
That's a W.
All signs point well. Yeah.
Cross your fingers.
With your fingers. Cross your heart. Hope to die. Stick a needle in your eye.
I will if they don't sign my guy.
I definitely will. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have really anything else to add to this. We've just kind of rambled for 50 minutes now, basically.
Yeah, we'll see you in September are we going? We're going to see this team. Right?
Yeah, hopefully. Late September, hopefully mid-September, we're going to watch this team. Could be one of the last games Vladdy's a Blue Jay. You never know. Or it's going to be one of just many more to come. Yeah, we'll hopefully
we extend our trip to October.
Yes, sir. We'll hopefully be back doing another pod. Hopefully next week.
Yeah.
The season's kind of going. A little bit more to talk about each and every day.
Let's hope there's stuff to talk about. As long as there's stuff to talk about, I'm okay to come on here and bullshit and ramble.
Blue Jays related. Like we got a couple more big hitters left on the free agent, and Alonso and Bregman, Flaherty still out there, Quintana, Scherzer. There's still some dudes out there. Stuff's gonna happen. And let's hope the Blue Jays make another move or two. I think they do.
Oh, have to. Yes.
They have to.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, other than that, we'll see you all in next week's podcast where hopefully we're making it rain even more than we did the past couple weeks. And we'll see you all in the next video. Peace out. Goodbye.
Peace.